Welcome to AI Unraveled, your daily briefing on how tech is changing the way we live, think, and connect. It is Monday, March 30th, 2026. I'm your co-host, Anna. Today's episode is brought to you by Iria and Jamga Mind. When AI starts making decisions about your personal data or your health, you need forensics, not just headlines. Jamga Mind provides the technical-grade analysis of these emerging frictions at jamgamind.com. And for your own digital safety, Aria ensures your personal AI agents stay in a secure sandbox, protecting your privacy from goal hijacking. Today, we are talking about the fight for the human line. As the internet fills up with automated noise, Reddit and Wikipedia are taking a stand to identify what is real and what is a machine. We also discuss how Anthropic's new surge limits are affecting your daily flow, and we take a hard look at the dark side of automation, including AI that is currently denying medical claims for thousands. Let's unravel what this means for you.
Imagine picking up a hammer, right? And before it lets you hit a nail, it checks your credit card, realizes it's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and just charges you double for the swing.
Yeah, that would be incredibly frustrating.
Right. But today, the tools we rely on to think, work, and just live are doing basically exactly that. So welcome to today's deep dive, specifically tailored for your life as a digital citizen.
Glad to be here for this one.
My mission here is to act as your digital rights advocate and tech lifestyle journalist. We're decoding a massive stack of news from today, March 30th, 2026.
And this is a huge stack today.
Oh, massive. We are tracking a story across leaked documents, industry briefings, and technical readouts. And, they all point to one critical escalating tension. We're calling it the human line.
I like that framing, the human line.
Because as AI agents flood our social platforms, our software, and even our healthcare, the biggest question is, how do you, the individual user, keep your humanity and your access intact? Okay, let's unpack this.
It really is the defining tension of the moment. And it's happening because the underlying architecture of the internet is, it's fracturing.
Yeah, it really feels that way.
If you look at the landscape today, we are seeing structural shifts that are, frankly, giving people whiplash. On one hand, you have this incredible, almost magical individual empowerment.
Like the Google announcement.
Exactly. Google just expanded its live translate feature to iOS, which literally turns any everyday pair of headphones into a real-time interpreter for over 70 languages.
Which is wild.
It is. You can walk into a cafe in Tokyo, someone speaks Japanese, and you hear English in your ear instantly. It feels like science fiction made real.
Right.
But at the exact same moment, the massive, insatiable energy demands of the AI data centers powering that exact magic are actively reversing big tech's progress on climate change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the power grids are groaning. So you have this incredible localized superpower fueled by a macro-level resource drain that the industry can barely sustain.
And, that resource drain isn't just an abstract climate issue anymore. It is hitting you right in your daily workflow.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what's happening today with Anthropic's Claude. People have been relying on it as a sort of second brain for their daily tasks, but we're seeing what we have to call the Claude squeeze.
The Claude squeeze.
Yeah. The platform gained users so fast in the first 2 months of 2026 that it's facing massive growing pains. It's dipping below the standard 99% uptime.
Which is a big deal for enterprise tools.
Huge deal. And their solution to fix the servers, they are actively throttling the users. Specifically on weekdays between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
During prime working hours.
Exactly. And this across all tiers, free, pro, and max. You are going to hit your limits way faster. An Anthropic engineer confirmed that during these peak hours, a single prompt might burn 1.5 to 2 units of your budget. Wait, so my second brain is going to be metered like an Uber in a rainstorm. This is literally surge pricing for your own digital extension. Does this mean average users are just getting priced out of the intelligence boom?
Well, I actually don't think surge pricing is the right way to look at it.
Really? Why not?
Because Uber surge pricing is meant to get more drivers on the road to meet the demand, right? Claude's new limits aren't trying to get more AI capacity on the road. They're actively trying to kick you out of the car so a corporate client can take your seat.
Wow. Okay, so they just don't want the everyday user taking up server space during business hours.
Precisely. And to understand why, we have to look at the underlying economics of what the industry calls inference costs.
Inference costs, okay.
Right. Training an AI model is like the down payment on a house. But inference, the actual compute power, required every single time you ask the AI to generate a word or an image, that is the daily mortgage.
And I'm guessing it's not cheap.
It is astronomically expensive. To put this in perspective, look at OpenAI Sora, their hyper-realistic video generation tool.
Oh yeah, the video generator.
Right, it was quietly shut down last week, just 6 months after launch. Why? Because generating the physics of a video frame by frame was burning roughly $1 million a day in server costs.
$1 million a day, just to keep the lights on for one consumer tool.
Yep.
I read that the user count peaked at 1 million and then dropped below 500,000, which means the math just completely fell apart.
It did, and the collateral damage was massive. Disney had committed $1 billion to a partnership around Sora to revolutionize their animation pipeline.
$1 billion.
Yeah, and Disney found out about the shutdown less than an hour before the public announcement, and the deal just evaporated.
That is insane.
When a company is burning $1 million a day, the math forces a pivot. And that is why we are seeing OpenAI and the industry at large shift aggressively away from you, the everyday consumer, and toward the enterprise.
Which totally explains why the consumer-facing ChatGPT app store is really struggling. We're, what, 6 months in?
Roughly, yeah.
And despite having 300 integrations from companies like Booking and StubHub, partners don't want to hand over their customer relationships.
That's right.
So users are just getting pushed off the platform to finish their transactions. Meanwhile, developers are complaining that they're running blind with buggy tools. It honestly feels like OpenAI just stopped caring about the consumer side of the house.
Because they basically did. While the consumer app store languishes, they're rolling out the red carpet for big business. Like OpenAI just introduced Codex plugins for agentic coding.
I've seen that term floating around. What exactly is agentic coding? How is that different from, like, the AI just auto-completing my sentences?
Good question. Autocomplete just guesses your next word. Agentic coding means the AI actually takes the steering wheel.
Okay.
You give it a high-level goal, and it autonomously clicks through Google Drive, writes a script in GitHub, messages your team on Slack, and executes the entire workflow across multiple apps without you touching the mouse. It is pure automation for corporate efficiency. What's fascinating here is that your personal AI tools are slowly being deprioritized in favor of these massive corporate contracts.
Right.
OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Fryer, is openly preparing the company for an IPO, stating that enterprise is where the sustainable model is. Right now, their revenue is about 60% consumer to 40% enterprise.
Okay.
She expects that to hit 50-50 by year's end. And Anthropic is already there. Roughly 80% of their revenue comes from enterprise clients.
So if you, the everyday user, are getting squeezed out by these artificial limits and the AI tools are being rebuilt for Fortune 500 companies, naturally you retreat to human spaces.
Makes sense?
Places where you can just talk to other people without watching a meter tick down. But those spaces are under siege. We are watching the fight against the dead internet happen in real time.
We really are. And we're seeing platforms draw a very hard line in the sand to protect whatever human authenticity they have left.
Right.
Reddit CEO Steve Huffman just announced a major initiative to keep Reddit a place where people can talk to people. They're aggressively policing the platform.
How so?
If an account uses automation for allowed tasks, like summarizing a news article, it will be forced to display a clear app tag. You will definitively know you are talking to a machine.
That's a huge shift.
And for the nefarious bots, they are removing about 100,000 of those every single day.
Wikipedia is going even further. They enacted a strict policy completely banning the use of large language models to generate or rewrite any article content.
Completely banned.
Yep. You can only use AI for basic copy editing or translation. Everything else has to come from a human brain.
The outcomes of these human-first policies are creating a fascinating paradox of trust. Joseph Levi at Noise Media pointed out that cracking down on AI isn't just about nobility.
No,
it's about protecting their value in search engines. If Google thinks Reddit is just AI talking to AI, Google stops sending traffic there.
that makes sense.
And you see the financial impact. Reddit's web traffic is up about 12% year over year. Wikipedia hasn't seen that same boost. They're actually down 8.8%. But both are desperately trying to preserve that standard of credible human-informed content.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The glaring data hypocrisy of it all.
Oh, yes.
Both of these platforms are aggressively licensing their human data to the exact same AI companies that are causing the spam problem.
It's wild.
Wikimedia has enterprise deals with Amazon, Meta, Google, and Perplexity. Reddit has a massive partnership with Google. It's like putting a massive new trespassing sign on your farm to keep out the machines, while quietly selling all your topsoil out the back door to the tractor company.
It is a profound contradiction. You are trying to preserve the integrity of a human space while actively fueling the models that are learning how to mimic and flood that exact space.
And this invasion isn't just happening on social media. It's bleeding into the spaces where people actually do their private work. We saw reports this week about Microsoft Copilot, their AI coding assistant, secretly injecting promotional ads into developer workspaces.
Yes, if you look at GitHub and GitLab, over 11,000 different repositories have been found with promotional text for a Copilot extension injected directly into developer pull requests.
Okay, let's translate that for the non-developers listening. What is a repository and a pull request? And, why is this such a violation?
Sure. Think of a repository as the master folder where all the code for an app lives.
Okay.
A pull request is the final, rigorous review stage before a new piece of code gets merged into that master folder and goes live to the public.
Right.
Microsoft Copilot is using hidden HTML comments to inject automated advertising into that raw code. It would be like Microsoft Word secretly hiding an ad for Bing in the margins of a legal contract right before you sign it.
Wow.
It is automated advertising, polluting the very infrastructure where software is built.
As AI begins to navigate your personal desktop and handle files, privacy is paramount. AIRA ensures that your personal AI agents stay within a secure sandbox, protecting your digital life from goal hijacking.
And that concept of a secure sandbox is exactly what is at stake right now. It's one thing when an AI injects an ad into a developer's workspace that's a contained environment. But what happens when that exact same autonomous behavior is given root access to your personal phone?
Right, and that is exactly what Apple is doing. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports that with iOS 27, which gets its first beta around June 8th at WWDC, Apple is launching a dedicated Siri AI app store.
They're calling them extensions, right?
Exactly. You'll be able to browse and install third-party AI chatbots right inside Siri. These agents won't just be answering trivia. They will have unprecedented access to your digital ecosystem, your photos, your calendar, your messages.
Which brings us to the terrifying context of granting that level of access to third-party models. This week, we saw a massive leak from Anthropic.
Oh, the leak.
Because of a simple content management system error. They accidentally left a draft blog post and launch materials in a public data cache.
Ouch.
Yeah. The leak detailed their next flagship AI, codenamed Claude Mythos. It sits in a new tier called Capybara, which is a full generation above their current Opus class.
Okay.
And the leaked documents explicitly flagged this model as being currently far ahead of any other AI model in cyber capabilities. They even warned it could help hackers outpace defenders.
To ground this, there was a shocking post from a researcher named Nicholas Carlini this week. I know he's a massive deal in cybersecurity, but what exactly did he find that has everyone so spooked?
Carlini is a legend. He is highly cited, and he has made millions of dollars finding exploits in smart contracts. And even he admitted that Claude outsmarted him.
Really?
Yeah. Claude scanned the foundational code of the internet and found a buffer overflow vulnerability in Linux that was introduced in 2003. A bug that had been hidden, completely undetected by human engineers, for over 20 years.
What exactly is a buffer overflow mechanically? Like, why is that such a prize for a hacker?
Think of a buffer overflow like pouring a gallon of water into a tiny shot glass. The excess water has to go somewhere.
Right.
In coding, that spill overwrites adjacent memory spaces. Hackers use that spill to sneak their own malicious commands into a system, granting them admin keys to take over the machine.
Oh, wow.
They are notoriously difficult for humans to spot in millions of lines of legacy code. Carlini noted he has never successfully found one himself. AI's ability to spot a 2-decade-old spill risk is a total paradigm shift in cybersecurity.
But hold on. If an AI can casually find a 20-year-old skeleton in the Linux closet, how can any of our personal data, our banking, our private messages, possibly be safe when these agents are living right on our phones via these new Siri extensions?
It's a valid concern.
I mean, the sandbox isn't just leaking, it feels like it's dissolving.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the security threat isn't just about a sophisticated hacker using Claude to steal your banking data.
Yeah.
It is increasingly about blind, algorithmic errors that can literally destroy your life. The danger isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's just an automated mistake with the power of the state behind it. Look at the recent report out of Tennessee.
Oh, right, the facial recognition case.
Yes. A Tennessee woman was arrested due to an AI facial recognition error for crimes committed in a state she has never even visited.
Let's just pause and think about that scenario for a second. Imagine walking out of your house to grab a coffee and three armed officers tackle you to the pavement because a server 1,000 miles away matched 12 pixels of your cheekbone to a blurry security camera photo.
It's a nightmare.
You can't cross-examine an algorithm. The machine made a correlation, the human authorities trusted the machine blindly, and an innocent person lost their freedom.
And that transition from human judgment to algorithmic execution is accelerating into even more sensitive areas.
Which brings us to the most critical, frankly chilling part of this deep dive. It's one thing when an AI flags you for a false arrest, which is horrific, but it's another when the machine directly decides whether you live or die. We are now seeing reports that insurance companies are actively using AI to batch deny healthcare claims. What happens when the machine says no to your literal survival, prioritizing algorithmic efficiency over a human life?
This is the sharp edge of automation. Insurance companies are deploying AI to flag and deny claims at a volume no human team ever could.
Exactly.
Placing the burden of a lengthy, complex appeal process on a patient who is already fighting a severe illness.
When AI begins denying your health claims, you need more than a chatbot. You need forensics. Jamgamine provides the technical-grade analysis of these emerging regulatory frictions. Visit djamgamine.com.
But to understand the full scope of AI in healthcare, we have to look at the other side of the coin, because the reality is deeply nuanced. AI isn't just denying care, it is also accelerating it in ways that are legitimately saving lives.
Right, there are breakthroughs.
Pharma giant Eli Lilly just entered a massive $2.75 billion deal with Hong Kong's In Silico Medicine. They're licensing an AI-discovered drug pipeline that already has 28 compounds in development, with nearly half at the clinical testing stage.
That's incredible.
Eli Lilly is throwing another $1 billion at NVIDIA just to build the computing infrastructure for AI drug discovery.
Yeah.
So you have this incredibly dystopian reality where an AI might discover the bespoke cure that saves your life, even as a different AI at your insurance company autonomously denies the claim to pay for it.
Which begs the question, who is actually behind the wheel of these life-altering tools? Who is writing the code that decides who gets arrested, who gets healthcare, and who gets access to the tools?
That is where the story becomes deeply, almost uncomfortably personal. The Wall Street Journal just published a decade-long expose on the rivalry between Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic.
This piece was something else.
And what the piece reveals is that this isn't just corporate competition. This traces back to 2016 when they were sharing a group house in San Francisco.
The details in this WSJ piece are wild. Dario and his sister Daniela actually worked at OpenAI before they left to found Anthropic. The article details these early, intense ideological clashes, including a time when OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman reportedly floated the idea of selling artificial general intelligence to UN Security Council nuclear powers.
Wow.
And Dario apparently considered that proposal tantamount to treason.
Now, obviously, we are impartially reporting the details of this WSJ piece. We aren't taking sides here.
Yeah, of course not.
But the level of animosity it documents is staggering. It paints a picture of legacy grievances. Altman allegedly accused the Amadeis of plotting against him to the board, then denied it when confronted. Very. In private, Amadei has likened the Altman and Elon Musk lawsuit to Hitler versus Stalin. He called Brockman's donation to a pro-Trump Pakey evil, and even compared OpenAI's rollout strategies to big tobacco.
And this personal friction is now playing out on a global geopolitical stage. We have Axios reporting leaked Slack messages where Sam Altman told his staff he tried to save Anthropic during a standoff with the Pentagon while simultaneously locking in OpenAI's own massive government deal.
Right.
You have Elon Musk's XAI losing Ross Nordin, which means, aside from Musk, the last of the original 11 co-founders has left the building.
Which says a lot.
And you have Anthropic winning a federal injunction against the Trump administration's supply chain risk designation. The federal judge literally called the administration's move classic illegal First Amendment retaliation.
The stakes are geopolitical. These companies are negotiating with nation-states. But the drivers behind the decisions are highly interpersonal. We are watching the architecture of the next era of human history being shaped by grudges forged in a shared kitchen a decade ago.
So what does this all mean? We are talking about the most powerful tools in human history.
Yeah.
Tools that are mapping our biology, finding invisible flaws in our digital security, and managing our healthcare pipelines. And they are being steered by fragile human egos.
To bring this all full circle, we started by looking at humans fighting bots on Reddit to preserve authentic connection. We looked at everyday users getting kicked out of their AI tools by surge limits so enterprise clients can take over. We looked at the very human egos directing this massive arms race. But perhaps the most jarring detail of all comes directly from the CEO of Anthropic himself. He recently stated that engineers at his company are no longer writing code.
Wait, really?
They let Claude write the code, and the humans just edit and review it.
Yeah, he explicitly said, at Anthropic, writing code means designing the next version of Claude itself. So we essentially have Claude designing the next version of Claude itself, most of it.
It's moving so fast.
And the pace is staggering. In the last 52 days alone, the Claude team dropped over 50 major feature launches. A new, massive update almost every single day.
This raises an important question. If the models are now advancing at a speed that humans can barely review, let alone author, where exactly is the human line?
If AI is now building the AI that governs our software, denies our health claims, and finds 2-decade-old exploits in our foundational systems,
Right.
when the machine eventually hits a critical error, will there even be an engineer left who understands the code well enough to pull the plug? Or have we already handed over the keys?
That is the question we all have to think about.
Enjoy this daily human briefing ads-free by subscribing on Apple Podcasts.
The signal today is the human line. As the internet fills with AI-generated enshittification, platforms like Reddit are becoming our last refuge for real conversation. But as AI moves into our healthcare and our legal system, the stakes are getting personal. This episode was made possible by Jamga Mind and IREA. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts for ads-free listening. Until tomorrow, stay human.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.